Boom, we're on. Hello, lads.
We are back.
G'day.
Well, I'm back.
You're back.
You were here last month.
I had to dust that seat off, mate, so you got back and nice and comfy. Where were you, mate?
Well, you wouldn't bloody believe it. You wouldn't believe it, yeah. Have you guys heard of Canada?
Is that the land of maple syrup and hockey?
Bloody oath. Yes, I went to... I drank... We don't drink maple syrup. You pour maple syrup on your food, and yes, we went to a bloody ice hockey game, so it was fantastic. Look at that. Ryan, Robbie and Luke. Bloody hell. The old Defence Kids. Actually, we went to the Defence Kids book launch on Friday last week. Yes. Yeah. Well done to Hayley Boswell up there doing fantastic things. So, hey, welcome back to another edition of Axon's Facebook Live Q&A. We're probably on more than Facebook these days, aren't we? So it's okay.
We're on Instagram and YouTube.
You're on Instagram and the YouTube.
The tubes. Getting on the tubes. The other tubes, not the beers.
Hey, so we're here to answer all your stuff about ADF housing entitlements, what's going on in the housing space, anything to do with about being a veteran, transitioning from the military, joining the military. Fucking, how do you get on with your missus who may or may not be in the military, or your partner, I've got to say these days. I said missus because there's three blokes sitting in here. Please go ahead and use the chat as much as you can. You can see Bettina and Ryan's in there straight away. I cannot wait to connect with you again, Bettina. Thanks so much for reaching out to me today. Franny from the Gold Coast is in. Tammy from the Gold Coast. So just let us know where you're dialing in from. And what I'd love to know also, ladies and gents, is like, how did these two roosters do when this big dog was not here last month?
When
sensational.
When the cat's away, the mice will play, I think it is, mate. But you came back and the office wasn't burnt down. So I think we did okay, 6.5 out of 10.
So if you were listening in last month, all three of you, and you're there again tonight, please let us know how it went with the Facebook Live last week. As they say, good friends stab you in the front.
One of the things I love about tonight and what we do here is also getting an opportunity to share our experiences, like stories from the trenches, because it's not just about what's going on in the world of Axon, right? We love sharing what's going on in the world of our clients out there and giving you a little bit of a sense of relatability to those circumstances, because, you know, you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, fuck, is it the right time for me? Is it going to work? What's that going to look like? You know, but we deal with all demographics across the defence and veteran community, so we love sharing those as well to give you that little spark of going, fuck, I might actually be closer than I think.
I love it that you've sworn more than me so far. I'm warming back up. I'm walking.
Tam's at home scratching the marks in the table for how many times we swear.
Oh, good stuff. You know what? It's great when the boss goes away because you don't need me here. And I love it, the fact that we've built a community, we've built a system, we've got leaders, we've got clients that we speak to, client care department, build support team. Everyone's just bloody running on autopilot. And I walk back in, I'm like, how's it all going? They're like, no change.
Yeah,
I'm like, good answer.
We say
I said, g'day, new guy.
You say that though, mate, but the energy levels are always different when you and Tam are in the office. Like it goes from 100 to 130, mate, when you and Tam come into the office.
Only 30 more.
Yeah, only 30, mate. That's 30% of 100.
It's not too bad. Justin Simmons is in the house. Hey, Justin, great to see you, mate. Kayla Wilkins says, hello from the Wilkinsons. Tammy's on fire. Please go and put that out.
Not the house.
So you're absolutely right. Like, even whilst I was away, caught up with a few people or whatever else. They're like, so what do you actually do day to day? So it is interesting, especially for us, whilst we do conduct connection calls mainly during the day. All of our coaching calls are at night.
Yes.
You've got one straight after this.
I've
got one, half an hour after this. So I'm skedaddling here on time, on target, and safe, out of here, back home, so I can speak to Jess and Al. So, it is interesting, but one of the big things that we've done since I got back, so while I was away, the evergreen that we do, so we call it the evergreen. So this is the video that you guys watch, which is the entry point into coming to work with us.
Yep.
So it's really, really important. Like, it's one of the very unique positions that we have in this industry is that we actually give a shit about your education.
Yep.
What it is you do, you need to know what you're doing. And certainly one of the trends that sort of prompted me to say, team, go ahead and do a review of the evergreen, is that getting some feedback from the two coaches who handle all the inbound connection calls was, people have come to us and they've watched the ADF housing entitlements. They're now full bottle on DOHAS, HPAS, Hep C, and the differences between Maricotta, RA, and living in, but they still want to buy a house in Wagga, or they still want to buy a house in Townsville, or they still want to buy a house in bloody Perth.
Yep.
So I guess what we've done, what you guys did whilst I was away, and you gave me dare I say, a commander's back brief yesterday. And we're like, righto, let's now put a plan in place. You're not actually, so quick little heads up, just listening to the DOHAS and the HPAS and the Hep C part of it, you miss so much context. Yeah. So now that's going to be at the end of the video training series. So we can give you all of the context as a lead up to it. And then when you actually get to the, the facts and figures of what, DOHAS is and HPAS or whatever, you're like, oh yeah, I'm posted to Darwin. That's a fucking stupid idea that I should buy a house up here.
Yeah, man.
In broad terms. Because here's the thing, regardless of how good a person you are and how much and how well we get on, we're not it's a no deal from us. We're not helping you buy a house in an area which is not going to, succeed and effectively enhance what your financial future looks like.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It's so important. I nearly swore again. It's so important to get those right. It's as important to know what they are and how to utilize them as when not to use them, right? And we say that all the time. And believe you me, I made that mistake. Like, I pulled the trigger. I got goldfish syndrome and I went, oh, look, a shiny house. I'm going to go and buy that. In the wrong location, it was the wrong type of property, the wrong timeline, and we know the outcome that I got as a result of that. So when you're going through those videos and taking a look, it's not just about having one piece of the puzzle. It's like trying to, it's without that entire picture, without that all of that information, you're likely to get the same outcome that I got, and that's why we exist. We don't want you to get that outcome. We want you to succeed and make the most of it.
Because all you're going to say is like, you haven't watched the rest of the videos, have you? No, we didn't get to that point.
All right, it's pretty obvious when we talk to people and you go, "What? Talk to me about location. Where are you thinking?" They haven't watched the video.
Yeah, because we're not fucking buying in Bunbury. We're not going to help you if you're going to Bunbury.
Is there a defence base in Bunbury? Anyway, you get the picture, right?
I did a convoy there once, mate.
Like, here's the thing. Everyone that's used our services and known us for a while, they're like, yes, these guys are speaking the absolute truth. Everyone's like, oh, but why do I need to fucking watch all the videos? It's like 1 hour of your life, and there's 5 20-minute videos, give or take.
Yep.
I think that's a bit more than an hour. You get the picture, right? It's not that long. So
you don't have time not to watch them.
Well, you're not working with us until you do. That's right.
Check.
Isn't that interesting in a commercial space where most other people out there, we look at our competitors' websites, know thy enemy, someone called some
Zoo something.
Some philosopher called Some Zoo said. And they're just like, book a connection call. You don't have to watch anything. Like, what a waste of fucking time that is, talking to people that don't have their axons firing properly. So if you're like sussing us out and like been watching us for a little while and you haven't got to the rest of the videos, please do yourself a favour and watch the rest of the videos before you book a connection call, because we're only going to ask you to do a U-turn, champ, and have another go, and then come back in and we'll call you mate and we'll go from there.
Not yet.
It's been a really good activity. And you know what else I'm really looking forward to doing as well is that I hope everyone out there has really enjoyed the increased level and type of engagement through the videos that we've done. The background music, the B-roll that comes up, the little captions down the bottom, the funny colours. There's a bunch of AI that's out there at the moment. I don't mind disclosing. There's not someone on a PowerPoint these days like it was when I first started to get all that done. But
I still do a fair bit of work.
I know you do. That's Daniel in the background.
He's got the defence mic.
But you know what? We've actually we discovered when we did the review, we're like, you know what? Let's also do a complete revamp of these slides, so they're more engaging. They're more video. They're pleasing to watch and to make it informative, to make sure it's a no-brainer that those that are watching go, right, cool. The flashy marketing that these guys do, they've also got a bit of substance and soul behind it as well. So stand by for that to be on the streets in the next couple of weeks. It's coming your way.
We'll have better haircuts in it too.
Well, what about one of them? Is that you did one and then you had to come back and redo it and you had your fucking buzz cut. I'm like, is that the same guy? And then that was me going, hi Ryan, you did the new hire. Hey, don't leave me hanging, mate.
This is actually a treat, right? Because it doesn't often happen that the three of us have good haircuts. It's normally one of us that looks like we've been lost a fight with a lawnmower. So
100%. CJ Winch dropped in the house. Speaking of houses, mate, I know the team had a fantastic opportunity to speak to you recently, mate, and I know we'll catch up soon and we'll do an end-of-build coaching session for your latest success, which is amazing. Look at that, Patina Ryan, and all parties involved need to watch it, not just one partner. We have not prompted her to say that, but that is, I just threw my pen on the ground for a reason, the ground being the notepad. Such a good point.
It is. It's extremely important. Like, as a coach and a strategist where we're putting together your plan, we absolutely cannot do that unless you're aligned as a couple. So if you're sitting out there with a partner and they haven't gone through it with you, because what we don't want to do is get halfway through the plan that's concise, it's good to go, we'll put all the risk mitigators in place and we're ready to execute, and then the other partner goes, What's this bullshit?
What are you going on about?
What's this about? Or don't understand the process or whatever that looks like. It's so imperative. Because here's the thing, buying a house, it's not like going to the movies, right? You don't just, if you get to the end of a shit movie, you've wasted $30 and an hour and a half of your time. It's you're putting together your portfolio and we're helping you do that. You need to do that as a couple through aligning your goals and educating yourselves collectively before you take the step.
Yeah. Went to gold class on the weekend. It's nearly the price of a house.
That must have busted you, mate.
I was sweating. Jesus.
That'll be the new thing. What was it, 3 or 4 years ago? They're like, if you have an Avo on toast, you're never going to buy a house. Now it'll be like, you're going to gold class, you're out.
No chance.
Not a fucking chance.
Might have been the 6 margaritas at gold class, mate.
Hey, let's talk about the budget was released overnight.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing groundbreaking I saw. Sure, there's a couple of $100 in fucking bill relief and this and
Yeah.
that and whatever
Pushing a few
else.
things
And
around, yeah.
no one's ever happy.
Yeah.
The government's doing their best thing. And I'm not a Labor or a Liberal supporter. I don't give a fuck who's in government. I just want the country to be run and led well.
Yep.
So I don't have any alliances there. But you know what? Isn't it funny when when people are trying to do the right thing, no matter how hard you try, you're never going to please everybody.
Yeah, and we see that on social media, mate. Even we do our absolute best as our current, existing clients will know. We do our absolute best, bend ourselves over a barrel to make sure that you're getting the best outcome. There will still be some rooster out there chirping who hasn't been through the process, of course, but still chirping about how rough we look or about how much weight I've put on or something. There's always a critic out
Isn't
there.
it funny? They're like, can you buffheads get off my feed? And I'm like, you idiot! That just prompted Facebook to put more of us on your feed. Were you about to say that, Daniel?
No, Daniel's about
I was
to
going
chip
to call
me.
Luke fat.
I was going to say, when you're over a barrel, do not fucking do that in front of me, please. I reserve the judgment not to be in the room when that's
Goodness
occurring.
me. We missed you, mate. Welcome back.
But one of the things we did see is that there was no fundamental changes
Correct.
or planning to first homeowners grants
Yep.
or stamp duty concessions
Yep.
or home builder grant, i.e. you don't have to pay lender's mortgage insurance, for instance. So, no doubt, Ryan, you were keeping a very close eye on that as well.
Yeah, and look, it was an interesting one because, we've got a national housing crisis, as you see in the media, but it was really interesting to see that they haven't made any decision yet. So it's, we'll see where it goes at that point. But for now, nothing's changing in terms of national level first homeowner grants and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, nothing. And the only real thing that they're sort of leaning in towards is creating some more social housing, which is is absolutely necessary. Because you get out there and you see a lot of criticism about investors. Here's the thing: if the investor money's not in the market, then not everybody can afford to buy their own home, regardless of the price point.
Yeah.
And if there's no investor money in the market, guess what? There's no roof over people's head. My opinion on that, and this is only my personal opinion, is that we've had bipartisan governments over the last 30 or 40 years that have failed the social housing system. And then they're just looking for a scapegoat for me. So I look at it when we go through the investment space as not only helping you as an individual develop your portfolio, but you also that you're putting a roof over some family's head.
Yep.
Yeah, love it. I'll just go back here a little bit. Alicia Wilson said, Jack, please see these guys before you buy anything. Watch the videos, please, Jack. And then Lockie Hughes said, I used to manage one of Robbie's properties as a PM. He is a terrific guy. Oh, mate, fantastic. Once again, I've not prompted or paid anyone to say that either.
Absolutely not.
But what does that mean, though? Let's talk about if you here in Queensland, $30,000 first home owners grant.
Yep.
If you're buying within a certain area and a certain cap, which is means tested. You got your 11 grand HPAS coming your way. You can put your DOHAS loan in place. If you've been serving long enough, you can get your DOHAS lump sum, et cetera, et cetera.
Stamp duty exemptions.
Yes, indeed. First home buyers. Because remember, for those that are still sort of new to this whole thing, and every now and then would you agree that people come to us with a connection call? I'm like, so when can I use my ADF housing entitlements for my investment?
Yeah.
None of the government grants or the defence grants, as a reminder or a reinforcement of a penny drop moment for everybody, none of it's for investment. It's only for your own home.
Yep, absolutely.
Luke, when driving back from the sunny coast on Friday last week, we're obviously in touch with 4 or 5 different builders here.
Yep.
And they have access to multiple projects going at any one time. And very rarely, this is hot off the press.
Yes, it is. Hot.
I actually had to ask both of you. No. I was like, should we talk about this tonight?
Yeah.
Should we talk about this tonight? It's too good not to.
Yeah.
You know the saying is when something sounds too good to be true, it is?
It often is.
Welcome to Axon.
Yeah.
Right?
The velvet rope. Yeah.
I'll talk about that in a second for sure. So we have now got direct access to a small project where there's going to be between 12 and 18 terrace homes, standalone terrace homes, they're obviously within bloody 10, 15 metres of each other, but they're within 20-minute drive from Inogra.
Yep.
And it's going to be priced at or under $600,000.
Yeah.
So
Now-
3-bedroom, double lock-up garage, 2-bedroom, terrace homes effectively. Those that are posted to Inogra right now, they'll want to live in a house, for instance. They're either paying $850,000, $900,000 in Albany Creek, or they got to push further to the north and they're paying $700,000, which is more affordable, but they got to drive 45 minutes to an hour to work and
Yuck.
back every day.
Yuck.
So I guess the no-brainer is going to be is that if you are posted to Inogra next year, so here's the thing, we got access to them now. The land's not going to register until early next year.
25.
Yeah.
They'll probably be built by mid next year, give or take, and then boom, you're in the market. So if you're being posted to Inogra next year, please reach out to us sooner rather than later. Let's start to put a plan in place. Let's start to understand your left and right of arc about whether something like this might be your best chance of actually pulling the trigger on your ADF housing entitlements at the right time and right place.
Yep.
And I'll make this statement. After your 20-odd years serving, my 20-plus years serving, your 2.5+ years serving, whatever it was, we know where all the different defence bases are, and we know where all the housing estates are around those defence bases. I'll put my own bloody name on the line here, which is not much, and say that this is the best ADF housing entitlement opportunity that exists anywhere in Australia.
Agreed.
Close to one of Australia's biggest bases, which is close to one of Australia's capital cities.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fuck me. Like, it is going to be an absolute belter.
Yeah.
You spoke about the velvet rope, right? So this is and the only way you can get access to it, ladies and gents, is through us, because we're going to have it exclusive through this exclusive builder who doesn't work with the public.
He only works with referral
So it becomes
partners,
a really, unique opportunity for you. What am I talking about? The velvet rope. We've all used to stand there in the lineup for a DJ or a band, and it's pissing with rain, cold, whatever else, and you see some dude, normally with a couple of hot chicks hanging off his arm, go and speak to the big bloody islander guy at the front who's the bouncer. I don't know what they talk about, but the bouncer lowers the velvet rope, and in walks old mate with the 2 chicks, and we're all standing out the front still. We're like, who the fuck is that? How is it that he got the velvet rope dropped and he's now inside on the cans doing what he needs to do?
Oh, well, that was me, mate. I was the bloke.
No, you were the bouncer, you fucking bullfed. So that's my little velvet rope story. How good is it that you don't have to compete with the public? You can just get direct access through us. But obviously, you need to be able to come through our process and be the right fit, etc. Watch the fucking movies. Not the movies, it's the movie thing. Well, you used to have me on your big 75-inch TV screen on a Friday night.
Back in Newcastle. Yeah.
Send me a video of your feet and a glass of red with
Follow
my
it.
fucking buffet in
Sorry to
the
hear
back
that.
end. So, yeah, mate.
Yeah, times have changed. Yeah.
Anyway, so this is going to be that is hot off the press. Stand by for more details as they come to hand, and we'll probably talk about it every month as time goes by. Yeah. But first in, best dressed. You can be an owner-occupier in the circumstance that I just put forward there, or if you are posted to Townsville, Darwin, or wherever else, you want to buy an investment property, no dramas, someone else can live in it. Probably a defence member, because it's got to be, think about it, if you've got RA living in bloody, living there, and you're going to get $500 a week rent for it, becomes a real no-brainer.
And if this is, one of those indicators of the relationships that we have with our builders, though the terrace stock, obviously at that price point, is getting very difficult to get one out there. Sure, you can go out the back of the middle of nowhere and you can buy yourself a terrace or a low price house in an area that doesn't have the 7 ingredients healthy property market. But as we always do, every day in, day out, we live and breathe this stuff. We're always hunting for the right stock for our clients. We're always hunting to make sure that it's the right price point, timeline, and in the absolute right location for them to suit their circumstances. Our builder specifically went out and sought this for us to be able to provide this to you guys out there.
Yeah, amazing. Davey Horrell, hello Axon team, welcome back. Robbie, Dave, great to see you again, mate, as well. I see the house is progressing really, really well for you. Jess Dunn says, where is the line drawn with none of these schemes being for investment, e.g. buy a house for yourself, add a second dwelling for investment on the same block?
Oh,
yeah,
that's a curly one.
Yes. Good luck finding a block big enough that you can do that.
That's step
in
one.
a decent area.
Yeah.
The complexity comes with, I actually had a chat to a good friend of mine about this the other day. We were just spitballing. We normally don't work in this space, right, where you slap on a second dwelling. It becomes very, very complex when you go down the finance path. That's where it starts. Obviously you've got to go through and get the subdivision done and get all that approved, which is, in Ryan's old wheelhouse. But it becomes really complex when you go through the finance space, because obviously you've been a finance for that one block that existing house is on. Once you go down the path of splitting that up, you're not actually tying it to the same the same asset that you've been finance approved for, right? So it becomes really, really complex to be able to manage that, and it's an absolute bugger to manage. So, why would you, I would ask you, why would you go down that path of being able to do that? And create that complexity when you can do it far more easily, far more simply, and still get the same
safer,
outcome.
right?
Far safer.
Throwing that town planning hat on, you're an elevated level of approvals within whatever local government you are when you start developing a block and subdividing it.
Correct.
So there's additional constraints, additional reports, additional outlays. So when you start laying all that on top, it's a complex environment.
It becomes far more complex, and you're at the women beck and call of some fat bloke in council,
town planner,
town planner who's
He's having
sitting
a bad
there
day.
with his comb over.
Look
and a
out,
bad day.
break.
Did you used to be a town planner, Ryan?
Allegedly.
Oh, it's never come up.
Mate, why do you think he works here? Yes, he's a good bloke. Yes, he's a ex-RAF Intello. Yes, he's an ex-client. Yes, he's got a lovely family. And he's a town planner. Okay, all right, you can work it.
Sweet.
Yes. Paul Cooney, hello, dog, mate. Hope you're having a fantastic
Big dog.
evening. Thank you so much for dialing in, mate. It was awesome to see you down in down in Sydney.
Sydney. We're still talking about it, mate. We loved
it.
it.
Bloody excellent. I couldn't remember if I saw him in Sydney or Canberra. That was a bloody
Definitely
whirlwind couple of days. Back-to-back client meetups.
We were very well behaved.
Yes, Your Honour. I was hoping that the government's response to the report from the Defence Housing Support Review would have been included in the budget outcomes. I guess it's still coming. Look, it's a pretty it's a pretty specific one.
It is very specific.
Dog, it's we're talking federal level national announcements, which quite frankly are going to influence the election. If you were Albo and you're dropping all these bloody bombs, getting people on side from a financial perspective, they're the ones that are going to be in the media release. Respectfully, Paul, not the ones sitting in the bloody National Defence Housing Review.
Yeah, exactly. And they had stuff in there for defence, the new programs, the surface to air missile programs and that sort of stuff. So it's all those headline pinching stuff that they're going to throw in there essentially. But yeah, as we said, it was pretty vanilla when it comes to any kind of housing and investment, kind of approach.
Yeah. Another trend that you guys gave me a brief on since I've been back, it's almost like I'm now giving everyone a regurgitation of like, all right, the boss is back, let's now bloody pin him to the wall and say, right, this is all the stuff that's been occurring since then, is that whilst Bettina Ryan said, make sure if you're in a couple, make sure the other person watches the videos, but there's plenty of single people watching the videos.
Yep.
But what are we seeing at the moment from a conversion, or like, that's not the right term, people being successful in approaching us and then getting the borrowing capacity with Deb to be able to then go ahead and commence their process from a success package perspective?
Yeah, I think that the clear data at the moment is that when you're in a couple, you're in a stronger position from a borrowing capacity perspective. And it's, the single people, the onesies that are coming in, are just don't have the borrowing power. So in terms of seeing through to finance and getting the whole way through. So ultimately, it's a trend that we've observed, and it's a discussion of, what can we do to cater for that demographic as well.
Yep. So we're seeing a trend of less than 20% of our clients coming through that are single and able to execute. And as Ryan said, that's purely just based on, it's not based on their diligence, it's not based on their savings, it's based on the ability for them to be able to borrow enough to get into the market. And unfortunately, but here's the thing, like all of the people that we're coaching now, like I'm coaching a young gent down in Tassie, an absolute cracker of a human. He won't be ready to execute for another 2 years. But what we're making sure of with that bloke is that when he gets to the LD, he doesn't have his boots undone. Like, you don't want to get caught with your pants down when the first shot rings out, right?
You said boots. Now we've got pants down. What the fucking... How did they graduate?
Well, if your shirt comes off and you... you want to make sure you're prepped, right? You want to make sure you're in that preparation phase and you're getting self-ready. What does that look like? Of course, it means your education. You want to make sure that you're fully educated on what's going on. You want to make sure, as you will always hear from me, you want to have a plan in place. You want to have a savings timeline in place. Because when those interest rates will come down, when they do come down...
Not if, when.
Exactly. Inevitably, they will come back down. What does that mean for the individual borrower? It means that your capacity, money becomes cheaper to borrow. Your capacity to borrow more then increases. You don't want to get stuck at that point in time where you come back to us and go, oh, hey, I'm ready to go and do a finance review. Interest come down, and we have to turn around and say, we're going to put you on a savings timeline. We want to make sure that you are ready to go. So even if you don't think you're ready to go right now, still reach out, still put a plan in place, because it means that you're going to have the capacity to be ready and execute when HEO arrives.
Milestones to work towards, and certainly, what we're getting Deb, the mortgage broker, to do right now is like interest rates at the moment. You can borrow this. Where do interest rates need to lower to so then you can step over the LD with your pants on and your boots done up and actually execute properly.
And your hat on, Sarge, because you always wear your hat outside.
That's right. So, but it's no good waiting until the LD, until we're crossing the LD, and then you're like, shit, I haven't even got my map out. I don't even know where I'm going.
That's right.
Doing that preemptive training, and we're never going to turn your back. We're not going to turn our back on you if you watch the requisite amount of videos. And like the only reason we turn our back on people is if they only want to buy in an area which we don't support.
Yep.
It's a no deal from us. I'm sorry, even though the vision and the purpose of Axon, the reason why we exist is to empower the defence community to secure their financial future using property. That ain't happening if you're buying in an area which is stagnant
that's not going
or
up.
way overpriced.
Yep.
Either, right?
Yep.
So look, if someone's going to be a pain in the ass, or they think they know better, or that what I'm characterising that, ladies and gents, if you're not coachable, we're not your guy.
Yeah.
We're not your team. Conversely, if you're like, I'm open to buying in the right location, I'm happy to go on a savings timeline and have those milestones and those gates in place, and have the clarity around what the steps are that I need to now commit to and undertake. We're not going to turn our back on you. We're going to wrap our arms. Like the people that are not ready to go now need our assistance even more.
Even more.
You rock up with 150 grand in the bank, double income, no kids. Fucking, there's a property. Did that even?
You're not getting my.
Yes.
He's been stealing my pen all day. You're not
never
getting.
fucking fall down. Like it's quite simple for us.
Exactly.
All right, and I'm not degrading the amazing clients and the diligence that's had to go into getting to that point. But it's pretty simple when you got that up your sleeve. So, yeah, I'm trying to give those a lot of encouragement that don't think, I'm not quite ready, I shouldn't reach out.
Now
if
is
you
the time to
fit the
reach out.
criteria, we're all yours.
And if nothing else, like with the plan and the strategy, one of the first things that we always do is get our clients to write goals.
Yes.
Like I spoke about that with the couples, you need to make sure those goals are aligned because when you get that finish line, you want to do that as a collective. But as an individual, you'll never ever, you don't rise to your goals, right? You fall to the systems that you put in place. So when I was a passed over major and getting to the end of my career, it got pretty tough passing BFAs. So I couldn't just go.
Billy.
I had waivers, mate.
Yeah.
No, but you can't just sort of get up and go for a jog every week or two and then expect to go out there and whip the young blokes in the troop or whatever that looks like. You need to have systems in place. You need to make sure that you've got measurable systems, measurable outcomes along the way, and of course, it's going to give you that much more of a bump and enthusiasm towards that laser-like focus on achieving those goals. If we've got a line in the sand that says this is where you need to reach, and you go, all of a sudden that fucking dim sim down at Frontline becomes less important than what the house does. I'm not talking about avo on toast. I'm talking about dim sims and chocolate milks for all you truckies out there.
And Tammy's just said need to get Bank of Mum and Dad involved as well. Yeah, so that's also an option that we can explore when we put that plan and strategy together is, does that work for you? We can go through the mechanics, educate, put that plan in place. But ultimately, that's a little bit different to the borrowing power. So
yeah, it is.
It's a bit of a deposit and cost versus borrowing scenario. But yeah, it's certainly an option that we often explore with.
But you never.
For those that have watched the ADF housing entitlements that don't know what the Bank of Mum and Dad is, watch the rest of the videos. It's in there.
But here's the thing, you're never going to know what those options are available to you if you're sitting down just scouring through stuff through the internet, because you'll end up on Reddit or something like that and end up with a tinfoil hat on. But when when you're sitting down with us, we have the ability, because we live and breathe this every day, right? We have the ability to be able to objectively look at what your personal circumstances are and work out a path for the safest way to acquire. And if it's not safe, you know what, as RT said, we're not going to turn our backs on you. We're going to say, righto, how do we make it safe, and when does that come about?
Bloody hell, you've been busy since I've been gone, lads.
Bit on.
Mate.
Yeah.
How was your Anzac Day? Because I being in Canada, virtually on the opposite time zone. Yeah. For those that don't know, I bought a heap of T-shirts and caps and jumpers, and on Friday we have Civvy Day. And for the next fucking 2 months, I'm wearing something from Canada just to remind everyone where I was.
The first day you had a squirrel hat on, a squirrel skin hat.
Now I've got a moose knuckle hat. No, it's not what you're thinking. Bloody hell. Anzac Day. How was your Anzac Day?
It was good, yeah. For those that have know us and have been following us, we've historically had something together as Axon. But this year we all sort of spent Anzac Day on our own. So for me, it was a quiet day. Went up to Mount Tambourine, did some bushwalking with the family. It was a really lovely day, and I know some of the other guys here did some other similar things with their families.
Choose the Raffy out of the two army guys that like bushwalking.
Yeah, he also goes camping.
A fucking chance.
He wears cam cream in the backyard just to feel hard.
I felt like a Raffy over there because we were staying at some nice hotels. So that's very, very different. What about you, mate? You went and did something that I did last year.
Yeah, mate, this was an extreme, something I'll never forget. Extremely moving.
You've got a hair in the way.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, my hair's falling out. It must be the stress that you put me under here, bro.
I don't put any stress. You put stress under yourself. You've had more grey hairs than me for many years.
Yeah, War did this to me.
What? I'll say again, Dilly.
No, I was very fortunate this year to get the opportunity to go down to the MCG and watch the Anzac Day test, and it was one of the most incredible experiences that I've had in my entire life.
It's not a test, mate. It's a footy match.
Same. They catch the ball, don't they, or something? As you can tell, I don't give a shit about AFL, but it was I think it was the Brisbane Bears or something.
Don't
wasn't
be silly. There's only two teams.
No, it was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. It was 94,000 people. You cannot describe. There's no words for the environment, the ambience that was down there when they were doing the last post and doing the national anthem. You could have heard a pin drop in a stadium of 94,000 people, and I got fairly emotional when I was doing it. Like, it was something that stirred up a lot of positive emotions for me, and it was one of those bucket list ticks. It was never even on my bucket list to go down and watch an AFL game for the AFL for the Anzac Day, but it certainly is something that I have now retrospectively written on there and ticked off.
Isn't it funny? You're like, I might do that again next year. And Franny, your wife, she's like, motherfucker, that's my birthday. You're like, guess what I'm doing every from 9 a.m. through to 5 p.m. on your birthday. I'll catch up with you before and after. But it was the same, mate. I'd never cried on Anzac Day because I'd either been the front of or representing someone, whereby, crying up the front there is probably not the right thing to do at that stage. But yeah, bloody earth, I cried like a baby last year. It's phenomenal, man. I'm really glad you got to do that.
Yeah, incredible. Absolutely.
And how respectful are AFL fans will they actually fucking keep quiet?
It was silence.
What happens during other codes? Is bullfeds that are on the piss that yell out.
Rugby union. They must be talking about that.
Yeah. I'm talking about it. Fucking one of your teams.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. If you haven't done it before, obviously everybody out there has a very strong link to the defence and defence community. It is something that I could not recommend strongly enough going there and just seeing the level of pride. It was almost a representation of the nation at that, for that day. It was everybody. I had people coming up endlessly shaking my hand, thanking me, lots and lots of positive comments. So yeah. It was pretty
cheeky
cool.
client that managed to sneak his way
in. That was a bloody highlight. One of the young fellas that I'm coaching, he managed to sneak his way into the back of the bloody chairman's lounge, and I made sure. So I'm good mates with his CO, so I gave him a call and I said I want him above Warren rank for initiative.
That is bloody excellent. Well, why not, mate? If you can try and get in there, that's excellent. All right, let's go back a little bit. Don Birch says Air Force all the way, RT. I'm on board, mate. Bloody O30. Franny reckons she's coming next year, Luke, so we need to make sure we've got the right amount of seats there.
Deconflict.
Kelly said we'd highly recommend dawn service at Currumbin with your feet in the sand. However, very eager to spend Anzac Day with the Axon team next year. Yes, I've... as Tammy said there, one of our favourites. That is a very, very special place in the country to be able to do Anzac Day. Yeah. But, geez, I wonder if we can do Currumbin in the morning and fly down for footy in the afternoon. I'm sure we could. I'm sure we could.
That would make,
challenge accepted.
That would make that day rough as Hessian undies, mate. That'd be a tough call.
Not when I'm involved. Not when I'm involved. Ryan, what else you got on your plate there, mate? What other sort of trends you're seeing in the market and other conversations? Break. Daniel's going to jump in.
I was just going to say we did have a question come through a little bit earlier in the week.
Go for it. Hit me up.
It was
please.
Do you guys have any experience in using super under a self-managed super fund to invest in property, specifically for those of us AJs with multiple super accounts?
Yeah,
we do.
So the answer is yes. I want to caveat this though so this is a very careful space. We can sit here and jaw off about generic property advice as much as we want. Unregulated space. Yep. That's why there's so many bloody bullheads in the space that have been
careless
very careless and reckless with their services that have been provided. we cannot make judgment on anything to do with anyone's personal circumstances, especially when it comes to super.
Yeah.
However, I can tell you about my personal experience because Tamara and I have had a property in our super fund for about the last 8 or 9 years.
Yep.
Your
Under
self-managed
construction.
super fund is being built right now.
Yep.
So, but I guess, look, the bottom line up front, who did that come from, Daniel? Has they got a name there?
I don't have it.
Okay.
I don't have it here.
Generically, it's just Jono. Jono, I've got some bad news for you, champion. First and foremost, so bottom line up front is that you cannot use any of your money in military super. You can't get access to it for starters.
Yep.
And then put it into a self-managed super fund to buy a house.
While you're serving, yeah.
Right now, I'm very well aware that you can transfer some funds out of your ADF super into a compliant self-managed super fund space there, but you need a 30%. So that's no problems. You need a 30% deposit with a 10% buffer left over. So effectively, you need a 40% deposit and cost to get a property going, even if you're at the $500,000 mark.
Yep.
That's going to be, there's 200 grand you need in your super straight away just to even get started. And then you've got to be able to service a loan, et cetera, et cetera. So I was able to do it after my 20 plus years service, same as you. We grabbed our our ancillary benefit, joined it with our spouse's civilian super, formed a self-managed super fund, and then bought a property in that. And we know after that many years service, you do have enough money there for you.
There's some other pretty strong considerations around, one of the, the two holding strategies that we have with investment properties are the rent and the tax return. The downside to that is, it doesn't necessarily, or it doesn't, you can't depreciate the value of the house against your own income, right? And that's one of those holding strategies that we utilise. So my recommendation is that you just keep it as simple as possible, right? Until you're in that position where that is a tangible, real option for you, then you just keep it as simple as possible when you're starting out and getting traction in that initial space. Now, what we also have, as a part of the Axon property group, so not inside Axon, we've got the resource to be able to reach out to a financial planner, who's also a qualified accountant as well, who's taken both of us through this process. So, we can facilitate, engagement in that space. But again, I'd just go back to why would you want to do that if you've got another option available to you?
Sammy Wynn, beautiful example. You're someone who has not been a stay-at-home mum whilst been, successfully growing a family is not. You grow a fucking tree. You're establishing a family.
A mustache.
You have busted your ass by going back to work as soon as you possibly can. So you've probably got. I can't remember off the top of my head. I apologise. And again, it's probably not even listed on your property wealth action plan because we don't, normally operate in that space. But you're probably someone who should have a chat to Jace about what super you have available and what options might be sort of forthcoming. Because you're, respectfully, you've had enough indoor cricket seasons worth of work underneath your belt that you probably do have, close to the right amount of money. And then if your mate's able to extract some of the funds from whatever super funds he's got available in the ADF, it could be close. Anyway, get with me and we can sort of map out a bit of a plan generically to then you go and have a special conversation with your financial planner to work out whether that's right for you or not. Daniel, thank you so much. That is an excellent question, mate.
Excellent question. Hopefully we answered that for you too, Jono. If there's anything more specific that you want around, in those details, we can certainly have a joint conversation with Jace with you and get the nuts on the bolts for you if that's the only option you've got available to you and it's a real option for you, or even if it's you're just getting some information in that space, just let us know, mate. We're happy to do an intro and sort of facilitate that.
Yeah, Tammy's even suggested maybe even do a masterclass on it. But yeah, no dramas. We can absolutely do a masterclass. But I guess I'll go back to my bottom line up front. It's not available to most serving members, but it absolutely should be part of, in my opinion, it should be part of the consideration and the discussions you're having with your financial planner, because look, at the end of the day, having a property in a self-managed super fund is a fucking excellent option.
Yeah, if it's
I'll
right.
Just leave it at that.
If it's right,
it's an excellent option for me.
It's a great option for me.
So there's many pros and some cons to it. But yes, how's me? I need to say us, but the fund is called Robbie Turner's Futures Fund. Look it up on the ABN if you like. But I'm like, but Tamara's the co-director. Of course she is. Bloody hell. But I set it up back in the day. Anyway.
Honey badger.
What else, Ryan? What else you got on your list there, champion?
One of the trends that I wanted to talk about tonight was, we always talk about helping people at the start of their journey, right, their preparation phase. But I've had a noticeable trend over the last month or two where people are reaching out to us and landing in sort of my space where they've got quite established portfolios. 3-4 properties, looking to continue acquiring. First thing I say to them is, what the fuck do you need me for?
Yeah,
you
right.
guys are looking like you're going pretty well. But ultimately, it's, people get to a point where they need to sort of outsource expertise. They run out of time, bandwidth. Everybody has different time, different bandwidth. And, they're looking for that next level of support to leverage their position to grow their portfolio.
You will always get to a T-junction
Yep.
in your portfolio when you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And look, what springs to mind for me is that Tiger Woods has still got a coach. He's done reasonably well over his life.
Yeah.
And,
Maybe he needs a life coach.
G'day, Tigers. I know you're watching, mate.
Big T around there.
Lukey's got some advice for you there, Chief.
Not much.
But, mate, for sure, it's... I've had many clients come to me over the years that are not just starting out,
Yep.
and I love that.
Yeah.
Because now you can not baby them along so much. That's not the right term as well. But you can. They know the language. They know the jargon. They know that they've been in the space. They're not at the beginner level. They're at the intermediate level. I'm like, sweet. Now let's talk bloody lingo. But I also congratulate them. I'm like, well done for being here.
Yeah.
Yep.
The fact that you're still humble enough to put your mitt in the air and go, I've done pretty well.
Yeah.
Look at my bloody portfolio. It's ticking over all right, but I still need assistance. I'm like, bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo.
And
Well
I
done.
had one gent who's an engineer and he's got 5 properties in Southeast Queensland. And he's reaching out to us like he knows what he's doing.
Yep.
But he's reached out to us because he's working long hours and he's ultimately he said to me, the more I've got to lose. So it's, and as you said, it's a whole different level of conversation. We can talk about land tax and all sorts of nuances and things that people you don't really talk about when people are in that sort of early preparation phase.
I just wrote it down. Land tax. I'll come back to that in a second.
Without fail, though, I've coached a number of people in those circumstances where they got 1-2 properties living their own, whatever that looks like. Without fail, every single time though, we have been able to value add. Because even if it's a case where us young whippersnappers don't have, don't.
I just removed myself.
Well, I was about to give you a compliment. Even if it's the case where it starts to get into something really complex that we perhaps haven't unpicked before because their portfolios at that point, we go back to Master Yoda and we're able to say, mate, like, can we pick this out? Because that's one of the things that we always do, right? We never work in silos inside of Axon. So we've always had the ability to go back, even when people have very well established portfolios, tweak it, put the right moves in place, get them some things refinanced, restructured, and they always end up in a better position.
Yeah.
I love it. You guys can't see it, but it's literally 2 meters behind Ryan through this little glass door here is the coach's little quadrangle.
Yep.
And we literally come in and we've got time set aside, first 45 minutes, stories from the trenches.
Yep.
How'd your calls go last night?
Yep.
What were you saying here? What were you saying here? And we literally spitball war game after action review everything that's going down. So it is.
It's such a value add.
Oh, it's
such a value add.
Like what hopefully everyone listening to us now is, it's almost like we're giving you a full download, me 2 months worth, these roosters 1 month worth of fly on the wall Axon style.
Yeah.
What is actually going on
Yeah.
in the business and what conversations are you having with everyone? You're absolutely right, mate. I've got 2 couples right now that I'm coaching. They're in their 50s and they got no assets.
Yep.
And they're both wondering, have we waited too late?
Yep.
Like, is it too late to get started? They've got adult children and they're focused on building that family and, creating memories and whatever else. And they're both earning really, really good money. So they're double income, no kids. And I guess we've got 2 choices now. We can I've only got 10 years to go until that magical 60 is in my face and I can then choose to work or not. I've only got 10 years to go. Am I going to be able to make enough in 10 years?
Everything I did was in the last 10 years, mate.
Think about the amount of clients that are $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 better off since knowing us, and we've only been going 7.
Yep.
So there's still so much wealth to be created in the next 10 years, if you think about it that way.
Yep.
So it's not like I've only got 10 years until I'm 60. I'm like, I've still got 10 years until I'm 60. Let's rock and roll.
And it's not too late to get started. It's too late to fuck it up. Is super important, right? Like when you're young and you've got an opportunity to make some mistakes, I don't know, perhaps buy an apartment in a shit area somewhere. Who what idiot would do that? Or a house in a mining town somewhere. What idiot would do that? But what it is when you get it, you can recover from those. You got time. You've got time to be able to throw nose to the grindstone and recover from those mistakes. But when you start hitting that the last decade of your working life, you don't want to be working till fucking 65. Like no, I'll work till the day I die, but it's in things that I love and want to do. If you don't want to be obliged to have to get out of bed, put your boots on, go to the RAP, get a chit because you can't run, and then go to work. Like you don't want to be doing that.
Is that where you go when you're like, he goes,
I'm just throwing him alley oops.
Got a bloody doctor's appointment today. I'm like, here we fucking go again.
Oh, sorry, boss, I can't run today. Hey?
Have we got chits here?
Yeah, mate.
No, we don't.
just bar chits.
Yes, we do. Hey, it's funny, Jen Gaylor, great to see you on the line again, Jen. I can't wait to host you and Steve up here soon. Good financial advice is great insurance. When you're throwing 500k plus down range, it's not a space for mistakes.
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
No, it's not.
There's a
I've
fucking
been there.
quote for you. I want to put that on my wall.
Yeah.
That is so bloody true.
Yeah, absolutely.
Debbie Rosberg said the more you have, the older you are, the more complex it is. So, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Luke, I said exactly those same things to those clients. We've still got 10 years to go, but we must be careful.
Yep.
Even though we're careful with every client.
Of course.
We must assess everything to an nth degree, even though we do that with every client. But, we don't have all those years under our belt to unfuck something that goes wrong.
Yeah, and you saw what happened, in the share market when all those retirees were getting to the back end and they had their shares in some high risk, a high risk portfolio and stuff. As soon as that dropped out, there was, how many poor Australians had to go back to work because they just put themselves at a level of undue risk and didn't have a buffer, didn't have a capacity to ride through those bumps and bruises. So, yeah, you need to get it right.
I'll tell you what, we've spoken a fair bit about the financial planner being a really, really important member of the team. Who else do you need on your team? A fucking weapon mortgage broker.
Yeah, you need a mortgage broker.
I gave Deb a bit of a razz today, something I've never said to her before. Now the rest of the team's like, what the fuck did you say? I said, I reckon you're getting better. She's like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
Like, the way you just described and summarised a reasonably complex case with a banker mum and dad, boom, 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 without fucking missing a beat, that made it crystal clear to the rest of us that were just listening in, was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, so Deb went
She's
from
like,
99... went from 99 to like 99.7. Like there's not much more room to grow, Deb.
Very impressive, eh? Like, isn't it so good to see an absolute expert in their field just kicking ass?
And just to know that she's in our court as well. Deb's all our mortgage brokers, everybody, sitting here at this desk and a bunch of people in there, and almost every single one of our clients, has gone through Deb. Well, we've now, 480 houses. Deb's got a whole bunch of those. So she's got, a few runs on the board when it comes to getting it right, understanding the complexities of the defence space. Deb corrects me on pay slips, like I should know what's going on with those things. Deb's like, no, you fucking idiot. That's not what that means. She's an absolute weapons grade, ocean going mortgage broker.
Yes, very true. CJ Wynn has said, I need to bloody scroll back for this one. 4 years with Axon and never been in a better position financially with 2 houses.
Warms my heart.
Bloody awesome. Proof is in the pudding. Mate, I can't wait to connect with you and your mate coming up soon when we do an end of build coaching and go, right, what's the next bloody 5 years look like?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is bloody amazing. What else we got here? Deb's having a bit of a laugh. Love you guys. Thank you as well. Deb is amazing. Patina, right? Awesome.
One of the other
it's if you're in your late 40s, early 50s, and you focus on establishing and growing a family, as long as with a couple of trees, that you haven't missed the boat. Well, here's the thing. We cannot get to the end of our working life and just rely on super.
and have nothing to show for it. Yep.
Well, you'll have your super to show for it. And even when I was speaking to Brett and Mel the other night, he sort of had the real. I said, "You've got no choice." He goes, "Oh, I'm not really sure if I want to invest." And he's a bit of trepidation still, as everyone does,
of course,
as we're going down this path. He was very like this at the start of the call, and then he was very like this at the end of the call. And I just sort of gave him to him between the eyes. I said, "Here's the thing, mate. You're 52 years old. You said you've got to work another 10 years. You've got no choice but to do something.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got a shitload of super." But if you're going to keep living on 120 grand a year, that's gone within 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you're on the fucking pension.
Yep.
I almost champed him, but he's too good a bloke to do that. He reached through the fucking screen and punched me in the nose. So, you know, it's no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, clearly the younger you start, the more time you have for the boring end of the curve to be not so boring towards the back end. But you must do something. Yeah. It's a non-negotiable to be doing something.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you are standing still, when you are idle, when you're like, oh, just like going to keep thinking about it for the next couple of years, and the world just fucking keeps moving. Guess what? You were going backwards.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly.
So, yeah.
I actually really enjoy coaching. I enjoy coaching everybody, of course. It, you know, lights all our fires, but I really enjoy coaching people at the end of their working career that are in that space. Because, you know, there's so much gratitude when you get through that, you know, because it's a challenge. If you haven't invested before, it's a challenge, particularly when you're getting, you know, to the back end of your working years. I love coaching people in that space. That's one. The other one are the whippersnappers that have, you know, put their KFC money away, you know, through high school, get into the defence force, they get extra beer tokens, but they're not spending them on beers, putting them away, screwing them away, and get themselves to a point where they're ready to execute. Like that, I love those two spectrums of what we do.
Last little bit before we wrap up, what do we got? 7 or 8 minutes to go, and I need to be on target, on time, and safe as briefed because I need to skedaddle home. In the 4 phases of your property journey, just go back. Again, it's in the videos that you might not have watched. Everything's important, right? Prepare, accumulate, consolidate, and then enjoy. Most people we speak about are in the preparation and accumulation phase.
Yep.
I've got 3 clients that I'm coaching right now, closely coaching, because I've known them for 4, 5, 6 years.
Yep.
And they've bought 2, 3, 4 properties with us. And they're like, all right, sweet, we're at that stage now. We want to now consolidate, revamp our portfolio, and now transition all the equity that we've got from our portfolio into buying our own home.
It's fucking
and
awesome.
it is like, it's just creating wealth for people in their accumulation phase is really cool. But seeing where that's got them, and now that they've got choices down the track, and we're talking like we might sell 1 or 2, get 3, 4, 500 grand cash out of the growth they've got, and then dump a massive deposit down to maybe, you know, to buy a $1.5 million house, not a $700,000 house. Like it's, you know, it's just so well worth it. And every single one of them, of course, as you can imagine, are just so grateful and so happy and so thankful that they took the bloody plunge back in 2019, you know, 20, whatever it was, to go, you know what, let's give this bloody Axon thing a go. So yeah, and this is where all of you are going to end up one day too, because as one of the case studies shows you,
he stole my thunder.
by being a rent investor and continually living in your Maricourt and your RA and letting other people, the tenant and taxman, pay off your investment properties, one day you want to restructure your portfolio and, you know, buy your own home, especially when you're going to get out and you don't have access to those government grants or defence grants anymore. Yeah, it's very, very satisfying, very pleasing, and it's very humbling, quite frankly.
Yeah, and it's about having those options. Like it's about, you know, getting yourself into a position where you've got those options available to you. If you hold those, you know, if you hold them and nest egg those properties over the next 20 or 30 years, that's okay too. But what you've got along the way is the option to be able to buy in a place where you want it. So that's where you take off. It's where you take off your head and calculator. You get rid of that and you buy it with your heart and your wallet, and you go and you live near the soccer fields that your kids are going to play soccer at. You go and live near the ocean if that's what your thing is. I don't, because I get sand rash and can't swim too well and that sort of stuff. But you live...
Beat me to it.
No,
what are you doing on the sand?
I can't go near the sand because Greenpeace will push me back in. No, but you've got options over your portfolio and your life, and ultimately that's why we generate wealth, right? That's why we put ourselves in a position of security, support our family through them, be able to provide the bank of mum and dad in 20 years' time. You know, those options that are born out of sensible decisions made in and executed in sound ways.
So cool.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Handovers, house handovers. We've had a couple.
Yeah, we have.
We have had a couple. A couple that it just reminded me, you were talking about trepidation and you know, and it's always the way, right? It's a big step to take. I have had the privilege of handing over to a RAF couple down in civilian and a RAF gent, and they were very cautious about pulling the trigger and jumping on with Axon. And we did a lot of coaching up front because
some cultural differences.
You know, and so, you know, working through those and navigating and negotiating those, like we do have a cookie cutter business model. We don't apologize for that because it works, but we apply it in everybody's circumstance in a bespoke way. So, this couple took extra coaching, which is absolutely fucking fine. That's why we've got the business model built the way that we do. We can coach for as long as we need until we're right to be able to execute against it. I had the absolute, I couldn't make it there, unfortunately, but Caitlin had the privilege of going up there, and she came back and was bouncing off the walls at how happy this couple was. They thought they were never going to be able to pull the trigger on, getting an investment property. They were like, we don't know, is it the right thing to just buy a house, an established house in a suburb way out in Whoop Whoop down in Melbourne, and we coached them through it. Now they've got that thing rocking and rolling in the market, and they're two kids. And, I was talking about the thing that sparked it was the intergenerational wealth stuff. They've got a family with some special needs attached to it, and one of their goals was to be able to provide security for their kids, and that just fucking lights my fire.
What made me have a bit of a chuckle? They're like, we're flying up from Melbourne. Caitlin's like, yep, that's okay. We'll get the keys and we'll go have a bit of a walk through the house. They're like, we want to stay there for a few hours. And Caitlin's like, nah, mate, we'll be there for like an hour. We're like, no, we want to sit in the house for. She's like, we're not sitting in the house for 4 or 5 hours. No, that's not.
They were very, very, very excited, which we love too. Like we feed off the excitement of our clients and the success of our clients, and those two. I was super privileged to be able to coach them through.
Last little bit. Let's really finish on a high.
Big news.
Sydney meetup, Canberra meetup. Groundbreaking. Yeah. I said to the team the other day, I caught up with another coaching session with Sam Squared, Sam and Samantha, married couple, hence Sam Squared, and just the vibe on the Zoom screen, having spent a few hours standing shoulder to shoulder having a few beers down in bloody Sydney, was like worlds apart.
Yeah.
So I said to the rest of the team, when we do another client meetup here in Brizzy, please go and fucking stand shoulder to shoulder with as many. Like, don't stand next to someone with an Axon shirt on.
Yeah.
So Brizzy, we're coming for you. It's actually locked into our calendar now. Friday the 21st of June. All the details exist inside the Facebook Elite group.
Yep.
So if you're not in the Facebook Elite group, you probably haven't watched the videos. And you're not part of our long-term coaching program. So, if we're going to put on an event with all the drinks and all the, Milky Bars and everything that's on Axon, obviously that's for our paying clients and those people that are inside the coaching series. So I can't, please do your best to be there.
Yeah.
Or if you're listening to this down in bloody somewhere else and one of your mates who you know is an Axon client, and remind them that you've heard this right now, Friday the 21st of June in Brizzy somewhere, Fortitude Valley, whatever it's going to be. Details TBC are coming your way. But yeah, the whole Axon team's going to be there.
Yep.
Daniel, our executive producer, will probably be driving the Axon Venga bus with a bunch of people in the back. That'll be an interesting drive on the way back, by the way. But we're definitely going to be there, and I can't wait for you to be able to meet the whole team.
I'm looking forward to seeing Rich. Looking forward to seeing Rich there too.
Very quickly, we've just got a last minute question through. We've got 3 minutes left. If you are young and going to have mum and dad's support, are you still eligible for a government grant?
If you're young and mum and dad are going to support you in getting your deposit and costs together, are you still eligible for a government grant?
Very interesting.
Depends on the structure. Depends on the structure. It's depends on the ownership structure, depends who's on the title, depends what the occupancy status is going to be, whether you're moving into it or not. The answer can be yes. Okay, so if they're going to give you a gift of cash,
then what does the support look like?
So if they're going to give you a gift of cash, then you are able to go into it and you're going to occupy that property for more than 12 months, then you're absolutely entitled to those government grants, with nuance, of course. Like, obviously I can't dive into your personal circumstances. If it's going to be a shared acquisition, then there's some really there's some other things that come into play. If you want to chat more about it, mate, I'd be really happy to have a chat. So reach out, send us an email, and we'll get back to you straight away. I'll organise a call with you.
Good stuff. Lads, loved it.
Awesome.
Good job. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, everyone, for listening in and watching. We'll be back in about a month's time. Fuck, we've been doing this for like 4.5 years now.
See you in a month.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. And